years, Sony has done a lot to upset consumers and also developers. They force censorship on tons of third-party games, they don't care about what we as gamers want in our entertainment, and they're too worried about chasing global audiences hoping to gain more customers instead of pleasing the ones they already have. And I've talked a lot about Sony seemingly abandoning the Japanese gaming market since they moved their headquarters to California in 2016, but the PlayStation head is still trying to convince us they love Japanese developers and the market in general. I wanted to read this Niche Gamer article, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month or supporting via direct donations. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So the head of PlayStation Studios is still trying to insist that Sony is still very much a Japanese company and they love Japanese games. So it says the head of PlayStation Studios, Herman Hulst, has insisted that Sony Interactive Entertainment is still very much a Japanese company and loves Japanese games. In an interview with Game Informer, the head of PlayStation Studios was asked about Sony Japan Studio. On February 25th, multiple anonymous sources stated that Sony Japan Studio was winding down original game development, and the vast majority of development staff had been let go. The studio had created things like Ape Escape, Gravity Rush, and more. This was due to the studio not being profitable enough in recent years for Sony, desiring to make games that appealed primarily to the Japanese market with global appeal. Meanwhile, SIE wanted global hits akin to what other first-party studios had produced. If they really cared about Japanese studios, you'd think they'd be helping them succeed and not shutting them down or moving developers to different projects. They are saying one thing and doing a complete other. It says SIE later provided an official statement confirming Sony Japan Studio would be reorganized into a new organization. So on April 1st, they were re-centered to Team Asobi, the creative team behind Astro's Playroom. Now, I understand that Sony is a company at the end of the day, and they want to make as much money as possible. But when you start stifling the creativity of developers and studios, you're not going to make anything new, unique, and original that people are going to want to buy eventually. People are going to get sick of seeing the same God of War games over and over. They're going to get sick of seeing the same Last of Us series. They're going to want something new and unique, and these are the development groups that are important because they're going to be the ones creating something new and unique. Sony over the years has definitely given up on indie developers and they've wanted to focus more on AAA hits, and I get it, they make more money than indie games most of the time, but that doesn't matter. You still need those developers in the industry because they are extremely important to the health of it. But it says, nonetheless, he insisted that Japanese games are still a core part of SIE's identity. They're saying one thing, yet doing a complete other. They're saying, oh, Japanese games are so important to our company, yet they force censorship on a ton of them. It says, I will say that we are in some ways still very much so a Japanese company. That's our heritage. That's still part of who we are. We love our Japanese games. In 2016, SIE's headquarters were established in San Mateo, California. The same year, Sony Computer Entertainment and more were restructured and reorganized. So we are very invested in Japanese development, and Japanese development is something that we love, he explained. I think it's such a core part of the PlayStation identity that I can't ever see us shy away from Japanese development. Now they are saying, oh, that's such a big part of PlayStation's identity, yet they are the ones that are forcing Japanese developers to censor their games so that they can be put onto their platforms. It's total and complete lies here. It says developers who have left Sony Japan Studio included the Demon's Souls and Bloodborne producers, Siren and Gravity Rush's creators, tons of different people who actually left to form their own studios. We also have names like the Bloodborne producer, the executive producer, We also have Demon Souls director. There are a ton of people who are jumping ship, basically, who are abandoning Sony during their restructuring and focus on global audiences. There are definitely people in the industry who just want to work and make money, but there are still tons of developers who want to make good games that are passionate about the industry, and to see them torn away from the games that they want to make or being told they can only create specific content is pretty terrible, and Sony is known for that now. Sony used to be an amazing company. They used to let whatever onto their platforms for the most part. They used to actually care, it sounded like, about their developers, and they listened to fan feedback, yet now they just do whatever they want to make as much money as possible, which again, they are a company. I don't blame them for wanting to make money, but they're pushing away tons of people. It says, in late December 2018, SIE Japan Asia president stated that the then recent spate of censorship of anime-styled sexual content on PS4 games had been to meet global standards. Never trust a company that says they're censoring something to meet global standards. This censorship was seemingly forced in Japan and led to Japanese developers to release on other platforms or create different versions for PlayStation consoles. No developers should be forced to censor their games to get a game on a platform. These developers shouldn't be told, well, you can't make money unless you do things that we want, like censoring your titles. People should be able to just create the games that they want, and as long as they're properly rated and they don't have illegal content in them, they should be fine. The restriction on expression and suppressing the release of titles for Japanese users was also cited by an analyst for the ACE Research Institute, claiming that it is definitive PlayStation will fall in Japan. Even recently, I talked about Nintendo dominating the Japanese gaming industry, and even Microsoft has been slowly growing in the market, and Sony is the one who's stalling out. The company that used to dominate is now the one that is falling flat there. And it says, in addition, Bloomberg reports claims that PlayStation employees and developers were losing faith in Japan as a market. The anonymous employees claim that the company had begun to focus more on the US after the PlayStation 4 had disappointed in Japan. According to several employees of PlayStation Japan, this resulted in the Japanese office being sidelined when it came to planning the promotion of the PlayStation 5. There are so many people who are so disappointed with PlayStation right now, and I understand why. It says employees from Tokyo told Bloomberg that they had been waiting for instructions and never got them. SIE CEO Jim Ryan denied those in prior reports, insisting that the Japanese market is still important to them. I used to really like Sony, and I know so many people used to as well. They used to allow tons of different new and unique content on their platform. Now they don't really care about indie developers, and they most certainly do not care about the Japanese gaming market. In my opinion, I think that this statement is complete and utter BS. Just looking at the past few years and seeing that they're saying one thing and doing a completely different one. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way. But I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.